What will you do to unlock innovation? In today's fast-paced world, innovation might not be enough. Tomorrow's pioneers of change will need to be agile, able to adapt, and committed like never before. Your host, Sannah Vinding, invites you to listen in and join business leaders from around the world as they share their visions for success in our future business challenges.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unlock Innovation. I'm Sannah Vinding. I'm honored today because today I have Bob Melvin with me. Bob is the VP of Engineering at Teledyne Marine Systems. I know Bob for a couple of years already. We know each other through the organization called LPPDE. It's Lean Product and Process Development Exchange. And we've been on the same board. We've been at the same conferences, learning together, which is really great. And I'm really impressed. Bob has some really good workshops. I didn't try to attend it yet, but one day I will.
Someday.
But I'm really impressed with his accomplishment, his knowledge, and also just his passion about lean product development. So welcome, Bob.
Thank you.
Tell me about, your job, you and your company you work for.
Okay, thanks again, Sannah. Yes, Bob Melvin. I'm the Vice President of Engineering at Teledyne Marine. And specifically, I'm the VP of Engineering for the vehicle section. So everything to do with autonomous vehicles for basically use in the marine industry. So what I like to do is kind of go over a little bit of the products that we sell, just to get a feel for what I like to do. We have gliders, underwater gliders.
Yeah.
They're basically like a torpedo shape, and we actually flew one around the North Atlantic. Just to give you an idea. Took 227 days to go by itself from New Jersey to Spain. So it's pretty slow, but they go by their own, and they kind of phone home occasionally and tell us where they are, and they navigate their way to wherever we want them to go. Then I've got underwater vehicles that do things like oil and gas, pipeline inspection, looking for unexploded ordnances from World War II. So those ones really give you a nice picture of the bottom of the sea. Yeah, and those are my favorite because I've been doing those for probably 15 years and programming them and finding unique relics on the bottom of the ocean. So I like that. Yeah. And then we have a couple of other boats. We have one that just goes on the surface, and it's a really small one. You can put it in the back of your truck, bring it out to some harbor and do a quick inspection, do a survey like Noah would to fix up a chart, say something has changed, the sandbar has shifted. So we've got those products from Ocean Science. Yeah. And then one more that's not at all related is Tap Tone. So if you drink beer or soda or have K-cups, then most likely your container has been inspected by a piece of our equipment. So we have a lot of patents on how to inspect little K-cups, run a little sensor across the top, just to make sure you get good coffee every morning. Very important.
We all need coffee in the morning.
So that's sort of what I do. Okay. My role, I used to be one of the engineers and do a lot of algorithm development and electrical engineering, but now I'm more focused on the process and sort of that role of making sure that I surround myself with really good talent, build up a really cohesive team, and do a lot of good innovation for our customers.
That's good. So where, the whole lean product development, the passion, where does that come from? Is that something you always had, or is it something that grew, or how did you get exposed to learn about lean product development?
I would say that I was practicing lean and didn't even know it. That's how I would describe it. A couple of examples from the past. We had one underwater vehicle where we needed to do a better camera. And we had a camera, we needed a light source so we could see, because the deeper you go, the darker it gets. So literally to test quickly some theories, literally use duct tape to tape a flashlight that was rated to go subsea on the vehicle. And that was my quick and dirty test before design to see how much light we really needed. So it's, that's kind of where I started. And Tap Tone, when I worked in Tap Tone in the 90s, I literally moved my office such that I had a conveyor belt in my office. I put earplugs in the morning, turn on the conveyor belt, and I would run samples around and test them all day long to do a statistical analysis to see how I could improve something and validate that it was actually making an improvement. So I think I've always been someone who wanted to test first and then design second. And I think that's sort of one of the basic principles of lean product development is understanding your knowledge gap. So I think you would say that I was practicing it, but didn't know what to call it. How about that?
Okay. No, that's good. So, so you started your career, right, as an engineer, that you said. So, how did you go from being the engineer? You know, tell me about the journey, you know, to get to where you are today.
Yeah, there's no doubt VP of engineering was not on my bucket list. No, I was going to be an engineer. I was going to design boards when I got out of school, electronics, PCBs, and that's what I was going to do, guaranteed. And then, so what happened though is that I discovered as I went through my career, like my very first job, I saw that there was a need for someone to learn how to use their schematic capture tool so that we could teach people in the company, sort of because they were small divisions, have some inside expert. And so I volunteered for the job because I wanted to learn and I liked sharing what I learned with other people. So I kind of volunteered. That's my very first job out of even though I was designing equipment for the U.S. Navy, I was at the same time the division lead because I knew that we needed to do it, and I like to teach people new ideas. So I started there. Another company, I was a startup company. We went through $125 million in 3 years, and we grew our own operating system out of basically our own design. And we were putting on new engineers every week. There were 1 or 2 new software engineers joining the team, and I realized that no one knew the operating system, and no one knew how to develop code and contribute quickly. So I started a class where I taught how the operating system worked to all the new employees, so that we could be more effective. So that's how it started, and I like to see things get done right, and so I just sort of naturally progressed. For somehow my career went from being mostly engineering, designing boards, writing algorithms, testing equipment, to more and more of helping to make sure that we, as a team, did things right. And so I just became an engineering manager, then a director, and now VP. And I will tell you, I was very scared. How does product development scale as you go from, just managing a team of 3 or 4 people to managing groups in Iceland, Massachusetts, California. And I learned that if you can do it right and develop the process right, then it scales quite easily. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's been quite the challenge as I changed my career.
How do you communicate with teams, in different locations? What's your advice there? Because I'm pretty sure now, right, where everybody is more remote or working from home, depending on where they live in the world right now. That's been the challenge for some companies. So what's your advice here?
Well, I'll tell you, my advice, you can learn from our mistakes, because we started off with the whole COVID, working from home, not being able to travel to Iceland or San Diego.
Yeah.
We started off by learning Teams, learning Zoom, because we didn't really use them that much. We would, we'd use things like these tools occasionally, but not very often. No. So now one of the mistakes we have made is that we're using all of them.
Yeah.
We haven't really standardized on it's always going to be Zoom or always going to be Teams. So it's just chaotic. And now, because we did have SharePoint with our knowledge library, all of our A3s or our K briefs, now, because Teams has built-in task board, task management, and all of these other ways to manage and collect information, it's getting very confusing. So we've been talking about lately now, we have to hit the reset switch and figure out because
the technology has just been going a little bit too fast to get your process to follow, right? Yeah.
It has. It definitely has. And also quarantining a lot. I've traveled, I think, 3 times. I had to quarantine each time I come back. And so it's just kind of chaotic right now, but we'll, that's where there's a good challenge for the near future to figure out how to work this all out.
Yeah. I see it right now as with the COVID and the whole pandemic, you have to do things differently, and that brings out new innovation. And as with your company, right, where you're saying if it's just saying how you communicate, I'm sure every company has realized or tried this, on had the feelings of how it turns out. But it also brings new ideas or new innovation. Either it can be on your product, but it could also be on your process. But of course, you need the right people on the team to take you there. But
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So what's the most important thing you can do in your space?
Yeah, in my space, I'd say as the sort of VP of engineering, my most important role I feel is being the chief engineer. So you still, once you build that cohesive team, you got a great group of people surrounding you. Then you're, in my mind, the best thing I can do is to ask the right questions. Ask the questions that will challenge the engineers, challenge the product development team, to make sure, number one, do we understand what the customer really wants, as we call it, the customer interest, and number two, do we really have the knowledge? Because it's still important, especially today with a lot of people working at home. It could be very easy to go there and just design all day on your computer, but you need someone to still be asking those hard questions. Did you look at this material or that? Did you evaluate different types of battery chemistries? Did you, have you looked at different LED types? Which LED color works best in the ocean? Those, we still have to keep remembering to ask those questions to make sure there's a good dialogue and make sure that the engineers, in a non-threatening way, know that we're in this together, and we want to make the best decisions technically that we can. So that's, for me, that's for the most important part of my job is really making sure I challenge the engineers to and also the business team to make sure that we do it right the first time.
Yeah. Totally get it. Been there. I'm still there. It's always after when you say lessons learned, right? You're like, oh. Absolutely.
We've got a lot of good lessons learned, but we don't need a lot of lessons learned. Just a few other projects.
Right. You don't want it to be like a waterfall that comes over you.
No.
And then nothing
else.
Don't
want that.
Yeah. No. Okay. Then one more here is, what would you have told yourself like 10 years ago?
Right. So
Tough
10
question,
years ago.
I know, but
I know. I will say that about 10 years ago, I was probably the director of engineering here, and it was just one company, not what I'm doing now, which is watching over, multiple product lines in 3 different locations.
Yeah.
I think back then I was a lot more in touch with the technology, and that was 10 years since then. I have been more focused on, the managerial or that other aspect of the VP of engineering job. So I really, if I told myself 10 years ago, I would have said, make sure you don't lose touch with the technology, because I still like to program. I like I've almost lost the ability probably to design boards anymore, but I should stayed more in touch with the technology because I like doing that. And there's some home projects I'd love to do. So it'd be great if I could, in fact, right now I went and bought myself a little development kit because I've got this idea of something. The kids have gone off to college, and I got a little free time on my hands. So I'm going to go back and do a little programming and make a little something on the side just for fun home project.
Yeah, remove the little dust, right? Undust it and get
exactly. That's what I got to do. So I've got to brush up on the skills I had years ago and get back into it. Yes.
That's cool. Okay, thank you so much for being on this call. I really appreciate it. I don't know if you have anything else you want to just have an ending note about, or if there's anything.
No, I think, Sannah, I think this has been fun. It's been fun. I enjoyed it, and it's always a pleasure to chat because we always like to compare notes, and it's always fun to share because we're all suffering with the same issues, looking for better ways, and just as I say, keeping ourselves active and improving. So
it is, and I think, but looking in different industries always can give you that inspiration. So I think it's important, right, that you look out in your network, even though just saying, okay, who's in a different industry, and then brainstorm with them or get some ideas. That always help you. I call it it's my little vitamin pill. So I got one today.
Exactly.
Talking to you.
Exactly.
No.
So yeah, so keep up the good work, and
I
as
will.
soon as we can travel, I'll be out to San Diego sometime, hopefully in the future.
Sounds great. Looking forward to see you. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.